Never store these 7 foods in the fridge. They can cause cancer. Have you ever opened your fridge and felt proud of how clean and organized it looks? Fresh fruits, colorful vegetables, maybe a loaf of bread or a few ripe tomatoes, all neatly stored, safe from heat and bacteria. But what if I told you that some of those foods, the ones you think are protected, could actually be putting your health at risk? It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. Every day, millions of people unknowingly create silent traps for their health inside their own refrigerators. By storing the wrong foods in the cold, they trigger chemical reactions that destroy nutrients, promote bacteria, and even form toxic compounds linked to serious diseases, including cancer. The problem is that we've been taught that refrigeration equals safety. Keep it cold, keep it fresh. But cold isn't always good. Some natural foods react to low temperatures in dangerous ways. The fridge can be a protector. Yes, but it can also be an enemy in disguise. Let's start with one of the most common mistakes: potatoes. Most people store raw potatoes in the fridge thinking it'll make them last longer. It makes sense. Cold preserves, right? Not in this case. When potatoes are exposed to low temperatures, the starch inside them quickly turns into sugar. That sugar doesn't just change the taste. It creates a chemical time bomb. When you cook those cold-stored potatoes, bake them, fry them, or roast them, those sugars react with amino acids and form acrylamide, a toxic compound that scientists have linked to several types of cancer, including ovarian, kidney, and esophageal cancer. That golden brown crisp you see on fries or roasted potatoes may look delicious, but it's also where acrylamide hides. Even worse, refrigeration changes their texture and encourages mold growth due to the humidity inside the fridge. You might think you're keeping your potatoes safe, but you're actually making them less healthy and more toxic. The right way to store potatoes is simple. Keep them in a dark, cool, and ventilated place, far from moisture and sunlight. Never in a plastic bag. A simple cloth bag or a basket is enough. And when cooking, avoid very high heat. Try keeping it under 180 degrees, about 350 degrees. This reduces acrylamide formation and keeps their nutrients intact. Now let's move to a food that everyone refrigerates without even thinking: tomatoes. They look fresh and juicy in the fridge, right? But refrigeration actually destroys what makes them special. The cold air breaks the delicate membranes inside the tomato, ruining its texture and flavor. That's why refrigerated tomatoes often taste watery and bland. They've lost their essence. More importantly, cold stops the tomato's natural ripening process. And that's when the real damage begins. You see, ripening is what increases lycopene, one of the most powerful antioxidants nature has to offer. Lycopene protects against premature aging, inflammation, and even cancer. When you stop that process, you freeze the tomato's potential, literally. And the damage doesn't stop there. Refrigeration can reduce the tomato's vitamin C content and increase acidity, making it harder for your body to absorb nutrients. So instead of gaining protection, you're losing it. The solution? Store tomatoes at room temperature in a well-ventilated basket, away from direct sunlight. If you want them to ripen faster, place them near a banana or an apple. These fruits release ethylene gas that helps tomatoes mature naturally. And once they're ripe, enjoy them quickly. Cold isn't their friend. Next, let's talk about something so simple yet so often misunderstood: bread. Many people throw their bread in the fridge, convinced it'll stay soft and fresh longer. Unfortunately, the exact opposite happens. Cold temperatures make bread go stale faster. The starch molecules inside the bread rearrange in the cold, turning it hard, dry, and flavorless. And that's not the worst part. The humidity inside the fridge can actually promote mold growth, especially on whole grain or natural fermented bread. That fuzzy white or green layer that appears after a few days? That's the fridge helping the wrong kind of life grow. So how should you store it? If you plan to eat it within a couple of days, keep it in a dry, sealed container or a cloth bag at room temperature. For longer, storage. Freeze it. Freezing locks in freshness and stops mold. And here's an extra tip. When you thaw and toast frozen bread, it forms resistant starch. a type of fiber that stabilizes blood sugar and supports gut health. It's one of those rare cases where cold, if used the right way, can actually help. Now let's look at one of the world's most beloved fruits, avocado. Rich, creamy, and full of healthy fats, avocados are like nature's butter, but they're also incredibly sensitive to cold. If you store an unripe avocado in the fridge, you stop its natural ripening process. The enzymes that develop its texture and flavor simply shut down. The result? A hard, bitter fruit that looks fine on the outside but is brown and stringy inside. And even worse, the cold can damage its healthy monounsaturated fats and antioxidants. Those are the exact compounds that protect your heart and brain. To store avocados the right way, let them ripen at room temperature. If you're in a hurry, put them in a paper bag with a banana or apple. The ethylene gas will speed up the process naturally. Once ripe, you can refrigerate them, but only for a short time, no more than 48 hours. And if you've already cut one, brush the exposed surface with lemon or lime juice before refrigerating it. The acidity prevents oxidation and keeps the color fresh. If you want to preserve it longer, freeze it. Frozen avocado works great for smoothies, sauces, or guacamole, and keeps most of its nutrients intact. But few fruits cause as much confusion as bananas. It's almost instinct to throw them in the fridge after shopping, thinking you're protecting them. But bananas and cold simply don't mix. Their skin darkens quickly, their texture changes, and their sweet aroma disappears. When exposed to low temperatures, bananas stop producing the enzymes that allow natural ripening. Inside, they turn mealy and lose flavor. What's worse, refrigeration can alter the balance of sugars inside, raising the fruit's glycemic index. That means those overripe bananas you eat thinking they're healthy might actually spike your blood sugar and trigger insulin resistance if you eat them too often. Over time, that can lead to inflammation, fat storage, and higher risks of metabolic problems. The best way to keep bananas fresh is simpler than you think. Keep them at room temperature and wrap their stems with plastic wrap or aluminum foil. This slows the release of ethylene gas and keeps them yellow longer. And if they start to overripe, peel and slice them before freezing. Frozen bananas are perfect for shakes, pancakes, and healthy desserts. So far, we've uncovered how 4 everyday foods, potatoes, tomatoes, bread, and bananas, can quietly change from healthy to harmful when refrigerated. And each one tells the same story. The cold can protect, but it can also destroy. But we're not done yet, because there are still 3 more foods: common, natural, and often praised for their health benefits, that can also become dangerous when stored the wrong way. One of them can lose its healing power and turn into a risk for serious bacterial contamination. Another can transform into a toxin-producing trap inside your own kitchen. And the last one, believe it or not, can lose almost all of its natural benefits, becoming nothing more than sugar in disguise. They're foods you probably use every single day, and understanding how to handle them correctly could be one of the simplest, most powerful ways to protect your health from the inside out. Now that you understand how easily simple foods can lose their health power in the cold, let's talk about one that almost everyone gets wrong: avocado. It's one of nature's healthiest gifts, full of healthy fats, fiber, and antioxidants that protect your heart, balance cholesterol, and even support brain function. Yet this same fruit becomes almost useless when stored in the wrong place, and the fridge is one of the worst. Here's what really happens. When an avocado is still firm and unripe, putting it in the fridge stops its natural ripening process. The enzymes that soften its texture and bring out that creamy flavor shut down completely. The result is a fruit that looks fine on the outside, but when you open it, it's fibrous, brown, and bitter inside. And the cold doesn't just ruin the taste. It also destroys many of the healthy fats and active compounds that make avocado so beneficial. Those heart-protecting monounsaturated fats begin to oxidize, losing their natural structure. That means less protection for your cardiovascular system, less support for your brain, and fewer antioxidants to fight inflammation. So, how do you keep an avocado perfect? The best way is to let it ripen naturally at room temperature. If you want to speed up the process, put it in a paper bag with a banana or an apple. Those fruits release ethylene gas, which helps the avocado ripen evenly and safely. In 1 or 2 days, you'll have the perfect creamy texture everyone loves. Once it's ripe, you can store it in the fridge, but only for a very short time, no more than 2 days. After that, it starts to darken and lose flavor. And if it's already cut, the trick is simple. Brush the surface with lemon or lime juice before covering it. The acid slows down oxidation, keeping it fresh and green longer. For even longer preservation, freezing works beautifully. Frozen avocado keeps most of its nutrients and is great for smoothies, sauces, and spreads. Just mash it first or slice it, store it in an airtight container, and freeze it for up to 6 months. That way, you always have a healthy option ready without losing its benefits. From the avocado, we move to one of the most ancient and respected foods in history, garlic. Used for centuries as both food and medicine, garlic has earned its reputation as nature's antibiotic. It's full of allicin, a compound known for fighting bacteria, viruses, and even helping to prevent cancer. But few people realize that when stored wrong, garlic can lose its power, or even turn dangerous. The problem starts when we put garlic in the fridge. The cold environment changes its natural chemistry. Instead of staying firm and full of allicin, garlic begins to sprout. Those small green shoots in the middle of each clove are a clear sign that the compound balance has shifted. The allicin decreases, the antioxidants weaken, and the flavor becomes bitter. But the real danger isn't in taste. It's in what some people do next. To save time, many people chop garlic, mix it with oil, and keep it in jars for convenience. It seems practical, right? Unfortunately, it's one of the riskiest habits you can have in the kitchen. That mixture can become the perfect breeding ground for Clostridium botulinum, the bacteria that causes botulism, a rare but deadly disease that attacks your nervous system, leading to paralysis and, in severe cases, death. The risk comes from the lack of oxygen inside the jar. Garlic and oil together create an anaerobic environment where the bacteria thrive. The worst part? You can't see or smell the danger. The oil may look completely normal, even when the toxin is already there. To avoid this, the rule is simple. Never store fresh garlic with oil at room temperature. If you love having chopped garlic, the safest method is to freeze it. Just mince it, place it into small portions using an ice cube tray, and freeze it. You'll have ready-to-use garlic anytime, without losing its flavor or risking contamination. If you prefer whole cloves, keep them in a dry, cool, and ventilated place, never sealed, never wet, and definitely not in the fridge. Garlic loves airflow, and if it starts to sprout, you can still use it, but its strength will be lower. So, whenever possible, go for fresh. Garlic teaches us a powerful lesson. Even nature's strongest medicine can turn harmful if we forget how it was meant to be kept. And now, we reach the final item on our list, one that surprises almost everyone: honey. For thousands of years, honey has been celebrated as one of nature's greatest healers. It's soothing, sweet, and packed with antioxidants, enzymes, and antimicrobial properties. It can calm a sore throat, help heal wounds, and strengthen the immune system. But all those benefits can vanish, or even backfire, when honey is stored in the fridge. Cold temperatures trigger a process called crystallization. This means that the natural sugars in honey separate from the liquid and begin forming solid crystals. It becomes thick, grainy, and hard to use. Many people think crystallized honey is spoiled and try to fix it by heating it up. But that's where the real damage happens. When honey is heated above 40 degrees, 104 degrees, most of its enzymes and antioxidants are destroyed. The heat kills what makes honey special. What remains is just sugary syrup, stripped of its healing properties. You might as well be eating plain sugar. And here's another problem. Storing honey in plastic containers, especially when exposed to light, can also make it lose quality. Honey naturally absorbs moisture and odors from the environment, and plastic can leach chemicals over time. That's why glass jars with tight lids are the best choice. The right way to store honey is simple. Keep it at room temperature, in a glass container, away from direct sunlight and humidity. That's how it keeps its natural balance of enzymes, flavor, and nutrients. But even though it's natural, honey should still be used with care. It's rich in sugar, and consuming too much can raise blood sugar levels, increase triglycerides, and lead to inflammation, the same problems that refined sugar causes. The key is moderation. 1 small teaspoon a day is enough to enjoy the benefits without harm. Think of honey as medicine, not as a daily sweetener. Now, let's take a moment to reflect. We've just walked through 7 common foods, everyday items that seem harmless but can turn against us when stored the wrong way. Potatoes, when refrigerated, create acrylamide, a compound linked to cancer. Tomatoes lose their antioxidants and taste. Bread hardens and develops mold. Bananas change texture, raise sugar levels, and lose nutrients. Avocados stop ripening and lose their healthy fats. Garlic loses allicin and can breed dangerous bacteria. And honey, when chilled, loses its healing power completely. Which of these 7 foods surprised you the most? Leave your answer in the comments and share this video with someone who needs to see it. Each of these foods tells the same story. Not everything belongs in the fridge. Cold isn't always protection. Sometimes it's quiet destruction of flavor, of nutrition, and of your body's defense against disease. But here's the good news. Changing these habits is easy. Store your potatoes in a cool, dry place. Keep your tomatoes and avocados out in the open until ripe. Wrap your banana's stems to make them last longer. Freeze bread instead of refrigerating it. And let your honey rest proudly on the counter, just as nature intended. These small adjustments may seem insignificant, but over time they protect your body in powerful ways. You'll preserve nutrients, avoid toxins, and reduce your exposure to harmful compounds that silently build up inside us. Our grandparents often stored food differently, not because they had fancy science, but because they listened to nature. They understood that food has its own rhythm, that not everything thrives in the cold. Somewhere along the way, we replaced that wisdom with convenience. We thought technology knew better. But the truth is, nature already gave us the answers. If this video opened your eyes to something new, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you love. Because small habits, like how we store our food, can protect our health in powerful ways. And if you want to keep learning how to live longer, eat smarter, and take better care of your body, subscribe now, and stay with us for more truths that can change your life. Food is alive. It breathes, it ages, and it reacts to temperature, just like we do. And when we treat it with respect, when we store it properly, it gives back health, energy, and protection. So, the next time you open your fridge, take a second look. Ask yourself, does this really belong here? Because sometimes, the difference between nourishment and harm isn't in what you eat, it's in where you keep it.